It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Green Live Stream. I am here. Edie is on vacation, but we have a guest for our show today, Kalia Fitzgerald. Thanks so much for coming, Kalia, and helping us out as guest host. And we did the Wednesday show also, so folks go and check it out. I thought it really went well, except for my tech problems. But no, I thought it was a great show, and yeah, so we are back, and so it's news of the week, and each week you just what Edie and I do, we just like throw stuff into the pile of what we're gonna maybe cover, and every week there's just so much stuff, and 95% of it is pretty horrific, and we're like, oh gosh, what are we gonna cover? So I'm just gonna go through our stuff, and Khalil will be helping out, especially when I'm trying to do all this stuff, get it ready. Our producer is also on vacation, and so things will get a little more back to normal next week. But I'm going to start here with, I was thinking about it. One of the things that I really do on this show is promote other shows that do a great job with their commentary and stuff. Right. And so this one is Colonial Outcasts. I'm a big fan. Mark Wayne and Craig Stoker. Do I have that name right? Craig, yeah. And Greg Stoker. Sorry. Knew something was wrong there. So this is just an intro that he did, which I really think it's cool because it just taps into, like I told you about last week, going to see the street naming of Fred Hampton. So I want people to see this.
What up, family? A few requests before we start. First is that I know in the face of so much trauma in this past year, it's hard to even think about cross-sectional solidarity. But at Colonial Outcasts, we always encourage it. And that includes Patriots. What Palestine has taught us is that humanity and conscience is a universal language. It speaks to everybody across ideological lines. I understand that the majority of you who watch our episodes are mostly radical left. And what often comes with that is a disinclination to others who may not be. But I would encourage you to consider the approach that Fred Hampton took when he formed the Rainbow Coalition. He knew that for true revolution to be realized, it required an inclusive attitude when it comes to expanding our revolutionary body. And yes, that includes expanding it to Patriots. Second request is, speaking of Fred Hampton, if you are interested in supporting the Black Panther Party and the Panther Party, send a message to the email listed in the description and ask how you can get more involved if you are serious about revolutionary organizing. Third request is this.
And so I just wanted to include that because I thought that was great. He's actually in Oakland, and so he is in contact with Black Panthers there. And I'm in Chicago, so I'm in contact with, it's actually, the new name is Black Panther Cubs that Fred Hampton Jr. started here. And so, yeah, it's just, and that, and I don't know if folks know that it was Fred Hampton that started the Rainbow Coalition before Jesse Jackson Jr. Or Jesse Jackson, I'm sorry. And get the fathers and sons mixed up here. And yeah, I just think that's really important. And I think that, coming off our kind of woke culture world, I think I get where that idea came from. The problem with it is we seem to always be attacking each other. I just had that come up this week. I did a show, a music event, and I opened for David Rovics, and someone sent me this article that they had seen, and it was it read like cancer culture. Oh, he was one time affiliated with somebody who had some right-wing ideas, and it's like, oh gosh, people, we should not be infighting. So anyway, I just wanted to start off the show with that. And so the main thing, I don't know, maybe the biggest news story of the week was just that we bombed a Venezuelan boat. We just bombed the boat, killed everybody in it. And I mean, it's just, it's, I, it's really, really disturbing how much our government gets away with and people are not just outraged.
Yeah,
It's
bad.
weird. I, d- I mean, they can call it, they can tap on a name, narco terrorism, that's a cute name. It like combines the two. Oh,
Right.
drug war and the who terrorists so bad, right?
But where's the evidence? If you bomb the boat, now where's the evidence? Because
Right.
nobody is alive to say anything, and they might not have known what was going on. And it goes into the whole renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. We are literally at war with everybody.
Oh,
Who they are.
I know I saw that Pete Hegseth. I saw the picture of his door. I'm really surprised that they like it's interesting. I mean, we would always complain, oh yeah, they call it the Department of Defense. Now they're openly admitting it. And I guess that's really sick, twisted logic. Now they're gonna be proud of the evil crimes that they commit.
I mean, yeah, it's not like we haven't always been in some type of undercover war, proxy war, something. So it's just like Israel saying that we're doing all this in self-defense. Like,
Yeah.
we even have a defense department. Why would you say defense when you know that we are the agitators in those situations?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not mad at the change. At least you're being honest.
Yeah, right. No, that is a good point. It's like, well, yeah, thank you. That's what we are. So,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to also just show this video, which I thought was kind of cool because it's Maduro calling for his people to form militias to fight the U.S. government, which, they know what's going on. There are submarines surrounding Venezuela. Now they're going to start the U.S. is going to start these actions to instigate something. And the first one is just bombing a random boat. And so this is a call out. So let me see if I can get this up.
Yeah. Trying to stir up some BRICS action.
Yep. Here we go.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is rallying the nation's militias and civilians to bolster the country's defense, announcing a nationwide enlistment drive this weekend amid escalating tensions with the United States. Speaking in Caracas before hundreds of soldiers and militia members, Maduro urged all Venezuelans to join the national plan for sovereignty and peace. I have called for next Saturday and Sunday at military barracks, military units, central public squares, Bolivar squares, and at the headquarters of the 15,751 popular bases for integral defense, for a process of national enlistment of all militia forces and the entire Bolivarian national militia. The call-up comes as Washington has deployed U.S. Navy destroyers to the Caribbean, a move the Trump administration says is intended to curb drug trafficking. Maduro, however, framed the mobilization as part of a long-term defense strategy rather than a reactionary measure. I call on all militia men, militia women, reservists, and all people who want to enlist and join the ranks of the great plan for sovereignty and peace. We have made the construction of a system not for a specific juncture. We have not built this for this juncture of threats and aggression where the empire has gone crazy.
Where the empire has gone crazy.
Empire. When I was listening to it, I eerily thought of Israel in this way because it's like Venezuela is not really bothering, anybody, just like the Palestinians are not bothering anybody.
Right.
And then they, as in Israel and the US, have to make up some type of trick or something to go in and do things. And you have to wonder what's the reason, because the reasons that they give are never it's surface level stuff, but it's never what's really beneath it.
And I remember it was a few years ago that they were pushing this idea of trying to bring democracy to Venezuela. And somehow in that process, they anointed Juan Guaido. Do you remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He was just somebody they decided was going to be president. And I remember back when I watched Rachel Maddow, how fool that I was, she would say President Juan Guaido. And it was like, excuse me, excuse me, who decided? And that fell through. So I guess now, and again, it's weird on how they time these things. I don't understand the timing, but now they've gone from trying to bring democracy. Now they've got to fight narco-terrorism. So it's the new trick, but it's just Venezuela is a socialist-based country. I mean, all these have different degrees, so of course they want to destroy anything affiliated. And then the oil; they've got the largest oil reserve in the world.
Well, and then too, the other country that they could be fighting against like this, if it's a narco-terrorist issue, is China. Because that's where they say we get all the opioids from, things like that. But they know that they have no business going over there to China and succeeding, because they won't. So now they're picking on the little person. And I'm not saying that Venezuela is, by all means can't handle themselves or anything like that. I'm just saying that's what the U.S. thinks.
Right.
But that's why I brought up the BRICS element to it, because they have Brazil is there over there, and they have, connections to BRICS. So if BRICS does decide to get involved, what would the U.S. do? They're making countries take up arms against them, literally.
Yeah.
And so this is not a draft. He's not making anybody. He's just saying, hey, look, this is what's going on. If you want to come on, we'll train you.
Right.
And when your citizens actually say, yeah, I want to save my country, versus all the TikTok videos I have seen about the things that people will do to get out of the draft, including saw off their own foot. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely, what a great example, Kalia, is that, folks here who know what our military does, they want nothing to do with it. That's a very different situation over there, where they know that the U.S. is out to get them. So absolutely true. And I was just the whole narco-terrorism. It's like interesting. We haven't blown up the offices in the U.S. that make OxyContin.
Right. Like, okay, well, ban the substance, period, if that's how you feel. Like, there are other medicines out there, ban it, period, if that's how you really feel.
And the sick thing about that, I'm pretty sure that OxyContin is synthetic heroin. I think it was a manufactured heroin. I'm pretty sure, they created it in the same, formula as what heroin would be. So, and, they never labeled it as such, right?
Well, no, because they didn't label the Coke and Coca-Cola. So I'm just saying. I was just talking to my husband about that, really, and I saw an old Coca-Cola can. It's a glass, and I was like, now here would be something that's really horrible. If they decided to put like the legal limit of THC in Coca-Cola and say it might not be the original ingredient, but we've got something else that'll soothe you. And then I thought about how corporations can get away with stuff like that when street level non-violent people are in jail.
Right. Exactly. Right. None of the corporations could do it, but an individual, especially a poor individual, in jail. Absolutely the case. No, it is so true.
You also have to think about, you get more time in jail for crack than you do cocaine. Aren't they the same thing? Just one is cooked differently. I don't know. I just heard about the songs. I really couldn't tell you what they look like, but yes.
No. And that was a big part of the crime bill, right? And that's Joe Biden that everyone voted for. Biden, folks, he's the one that put, destroyed I've said this before, destroyed generations of African American families in this country, generations, by putting everybody in jail for crack versus cocaine, which, the white folks partying doing cocaine, they didn't get it.
They got a slap on the wrist.
Right.
I tried to tell people that. I was like, you can vote for him if you want to, but his history. And they were like, so da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, you get what you get, and now you got what you got.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, didn't he have surgery? Didn't he have a fall recently?
Oh, I haven't heard. I haven't any. I haven't followed.
Yeah, I think I saw it yesterday on the news that he fell and he had to have surgery. So I haven't followed up on it, but I thought it was Trump at first, and I was like, but it was Biden. It was Biden. I think he needs to stop bicycling. It's about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, and that's always a danger sign. Falling is one of for the elderly. That's a lot of times that's a path that, So I wanted to share this. Our new, Secretary of War or whatever the new title is called. So this is him saying, yeah, I guess, he doesn't rule out. This is from antiwar.com. Hegseth doesn't rule out regime change in Venezuela. Suggests more U.S. strikes on boats are coming. And again, I just get so pissed that people aren't screaming about this. It's not okay to murder people randomly. It's not okay,
Yeah, that's what they did to Haiti.
If it was a boat of Floridians who wanted to take some drugs up to New York, and then you bomb the thing instead of arresting and putting them on trial. I mean, I'm for the legalization of drugs, but again, it's like, and again, it just screams racism. So people don't even think about the problems with that. Is it because they're Venezuelan? Is that why you don't think of that issue? It's like bombs should be going off in your brain. Wait a second. Wait, what about trials and sentences and
due process, which doesn't matter anymore,
of your peers? It's just, it's just horrific.
I see. I knew it was in the back of my mind. And when you said something earlier about what was going on, and I said they're gonna do a regime change. They're gonna try it. And then you brought it up. I was like, yep.
Do you remember that drone that came over of a speech of Maduro's, and they tried to assassinate him? I'm pretty sure they said that was CIA. That was a few years ago. They've been trying to get Maduro forever. I mean, oh my God, this crazy ass country.
And poor little Trump, he just keeps,
he keeps going, Yeah. Keep going, Maduro. Hold on a little longer. Oh my gosh. All right, so next subject, I just labeled it. Edie does a good job of labeling these things. And this is about America in decline. And it's going to end with a really interesting speech that Joti Brar had on a show, and about, the rise of like anti-imperialist forces, because it is true that, our country is definitely falling apart in so many different ways. And so this next article, I always get the feeling when I do this show that things just pile on top of each other. It's like, we think we have a set of problems. Oh crap. Now we got to do one. So the new one that I've started talking about is AI sucking up all our water.
Oh yeah, something about that yesterday. Chanel posted something on it.
Okay. I mean, it is scary. So let me try to set this up. Here we go. So this is from SheerPost. And let me see who's wrote the article. So this is from Peyton McCauley and Melissa Scanlan. Okay. So data centers consume massive amounts of water. Companies rarely tell the public exactly how much. So as demand for artificial intelligence technology boosts construction and proposed construction of data centers around the world, So it isn't just a U.S. problem.
Okay. I was going to ask that later.
Yeah. Those computers require not just electricity and land, but also a significant amount of water. Data centers use water directly, with cooling water pumped through pipes in and around the computer equipment. They also use water indirectly through the water required to produce the electricity to power the facility. The amount of water used to produce electricity increases dramatically when the source is fossil fuels compared with solar or wind. Okay, I don't understand the science behind that, but yeah, it's a really dangerous. Now here's a good a chart showing companies consume more water. So Google has gone way up, and so you can see, and that's in billion liters over the years. So now Google is up to 24 billion liters in 1 year. So as I use Google to find these things.
Right. It's just like we use Google in just about everything. And people say go to other search engines, and now you got to wonder, do those same search engines use it? I know at my job, we have like a big old computer room, and it is cold in there. So I can understand, it's not just an AI thing specifically. It like cools down all the servers and things like that. So, I don't think people really know about that part of it either, because servers can't overheat.
And I think what it is just, I mean, it gets real technical in terms of AI is a continually processing thing to take all information and bring it into, so it's the idea, you think about, okay, I'm going to go check out someplace on a website. So you go to the website and the little page comes up, right? So that level is it's 1,000 times more than the processing that's constantly going on just to be able to answer your question. And now in a search, it's an AI answer, right?
Yeah, well, I think sometimes we forget that almost everything that we are doing is some kind of way AI generated, because we are literally telling like our computers, our phones, our this and that to do something, and it is using its artificial intelligence to perform the action that we're asking for. So we've had AI for a long time. It's just now that they have Chat GPT and things like that, it's getting to where it's like, oh, you can do a lot more,
Right.
So what I really think is a major difference is we're now finding out that other countries can do this cheaper, better, and faster than the US can. And we're stuck footing the bill for when these organizations and corporations can't pay the money that they were saying they needed up front, or any types of those things. Because Silicon Valley, how much did they ask to do for all this AI stuff versus what they did with DeepSeek? When DeepSeek's information came out, it was just like, so we really didn't need all that. So you see how,
right.
Yeah, exactly. The money is not making sense in terms of why we have to do it this way in the US versus any other country doing it some other way, and it not being as impactful in their society, especially the not just the economy, but the ecologist part of it.
Okay. And the jobs part of it that I think about is, the job loss is going to be tremendous. It's already happening. But the thing is, and people say, yeah, but every new technology, you lose jobs, blah, blah, blah. And, that part is true. The part that is different, though, is like when those technologies were coming, let's say in the 70s, there were tons of jobs to pick from. There were tons of industries to pick from, right? Now we're dwindling down. We almost have no manufacturing at all. Now I've got an article that Edie found that covers that issue, that the statistics on our manufacturing is a bunch of lies. So it's the idea that there's nothing to go to in America anymore if technology replaces your job.
Oh, definitely. Because at my job, we didn't do AI, and now they're trying to introduce AI into it, and I'm just like, well,
Yeah,
I have a job in 10 years.
right.
That's exactly what I thought. That was exactly what it was.
I know Andy Ellis has talked about it. He's running for governor of Maryland. He said AI is what got him fired. So, yep, it's happening everywhere, folks. I want to share this. So, this is Jeffrey Sachs, and he's talking about the Trump tariffs. And it's kind of long, so you may cut it off at some point. But it gets to the whole concept of we're a country run by dumb people and corrupt people, and Trump is the dumb one, and the rest of the corrupt. Okay, he's dumb and corrupt, but our country is falling apart because we got leaders that are not here for us. And so this is Jeffrey Sachs. Love Jeffrey Sachs. So let me. I always struggle with this stuff. Let me get it going. Okay.
So Jeffrey Sachs.
Yay. So this is as I've said many times on the show, this is who I want the Green Party presidential candidate to be for 2028. But here he's talking about, and I cut it off right in the middle. It's pretty long. So, but it's just talking about how dumb these stupid tariffs are.
Mm-hmm.
The United States runs a current account deficit because it spends more than it produces. Why does it do that? We have a big credit card in the United States. It's called the national government. The US government spends about $2 trillion a year more than it takes in revenues. What it's doing is making transfers to the American people and to American businesses. It doesn't tax Americans for those transfers because, here's another little fact, because the congressmen that vote on the budget got into office by being paid for their campaigns by rich people who don't like taxes. So the political system says spend, but don't tax us. So we run a chronic deficit in the United States. That spending goes out either as transfer payments or goods and services, and that's more than our national income, which is about $30 trillion, and our spending is about $31 trillion. And that's our trade deficit. And for that, Donald Trump blames the world. Okay, I fail him for this if he were my student. He's my president. It's a little weirder because when he did this, in 2 days, the world lost $10 trillion of market capitalization. By the way, where did it go? Did it get transferred from here to here? No, it got destroyed.
Oh, sorry.
This
Still
game,
giving us the ads.
you're not ready for.
Why destroyed? Because trade, something also the President of the United States doesn't understand, is mutually beneficial. So if you stop trade, everybody loses. It's not that one side wins, the other side loses. He cannot understand that concept. As a guy that traded real estate in New York. So his idea is somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. But what happened when he made this announcement was $10 trillion was wiped out worldwide. It's not that the US went up and they went down. No, everybody went down because the whole world system is based on a division of labor, and he's breaking that division of labor into pieces. So then people said, this doesn't make sense. Even the very rich people that gave him the money for him to get into office started saying this doesn't make sense. The hedge fund managers who were his big campaign contributors, Elon Musk, who paid for his election, became prime minister, he said this doesn't make sense. And then the markets said this doesn't make sense. Not only $10 trillion, but as the finance minister said, interest rates started to rise because people began to dump U.S. Treasury debt.
The safest thing in the world, apparently.
So interesting what happened. It's not quite true that he reversed things. First, he left on this 10% tariff, except for one country, for China,
145%
where he
on some
raised
products.
the tariff rates. That's because the United States has a deep, neurotic attachment to China. The U.S. political system hates China. Why? Because China's big and successful. And so that the U.S. hates. It's a rival, it's a competitor. And so this is the one thing he left on. Now he's going to mess up everything with this too, because in a trade war between the U.S. and China, China wins. China does not depend on the U.S. market very much. It's about 12% of China's exports. China will do just fine. It's just dumb policy. There's no more, sorry to say it, there's just no more explanation to this.
So I wanted to just show that is kind of an indication of just we're not, these people who voted him into office. It's we've moved so far away from the way we should think about our country, and that, and again, the Democrats doing their best to just destroy democracy and run a genocide and all the reasons why folks did not support them, which brought us Trump. But it's just, again, it's showing that, and as I said, I'm going to end more with just these other countries, and you said BRICS coming together. And it's because that there is the U.S. government has such an ego that I get it. They ran the world for 40, 50 years, but those days are gone, and they're not willing to understand that you just can't screw on everybody.
Right.
It doesn't work anymore. You can't get away with that stuff. But yeah.
I wanted to just, he was on the We Can End the Genocide Now Friday they had at 10 a.m. And then Jill Stein is going to be, they weren't the only ones, because Medea Benjamin was with him on Friday morning. Yeah. And then Jill Stein and some others are going to be there, I think Butch, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday at 4 p.m. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can go to the Illinois Green Party. There you go. Or go to their social medias and find that registration link. But if you haven't registered, please do. And tell Jeffrey Sachs we want sex.
Yes. I have a graphic for it, a meme, and I try to put it wherever I can. It doesn't allow pictures up on YouTube, but like on Facebook, anytime I see an article about Jeffrey Sachs, I type it in, Jeffrey Sachs, Tea Party presidential candidate 2028. So and that's pretty easy. bit.ly/lifeline4pal where you register. So I had a friend watch the first one. They said it was fantastic, so I'm gonna try to catch it tomorrow. I missed the first one, but I did have that ready to go. So let's see, what am I missing here? Okay, you know what, I'm gonna go, I messed up on something, but I'm gonna go right to this speech that Joti Brar gives. And so the background, first of all, I'm going to start by saying I don't know a lot about Jackson Hinkle's background. I heard really bad things. And I never followed him. He now joined with folks that I really did like, Midwestern Marks. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's three guys, Eddie, Noah, Carlos. Eddie's a little shaky on the LGBT stuff. He needs a little education. But they were just fantastic, Marxist theory and stuff. Well, they've joined with Jackson and somebody else, and they've started a new communist party. And as soon as they started that, like, people attacked them like crazy. So I think all they do is respond to the attacks these days. But anyway, so this is on Jackson Hinkle's show. So apologies to anybody who was like, but it's fantastic. Joti Brar, runs. They're called The Communists in England. Have you ever seen her?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's on Garland Nixon's show like once a week.
Heard that show before.
Yeah. And she just gives this, and I get it. Like, I get why people kind of get, and I don't, you and I have discussed this. I don't label myself anything because I think labeling yourself is weird. It's like, I'm a communist. No, I think you're just cosplaying in your brain. It's right. It's like, okay, how are you a communist right here, sitting here in America? It's just, you know what I mean? I don't mean to make fun of people, but I'm not big on the label thing. So I don't label myself as a communist at all. But if I find folks that I really like, I'm like, I follow them and watch them. And so I'm a huge fan of Joti Brar. So she gives a really good explanation having to do with that event that just happened that had India. I'm going to have the picture, bring it up. So India, Russia, and China all met. And this was like I think this was the famous, the photo that went viral because people are all freaking out because they're all uniting now. But she gives a great history. So here I'm going to do.
Yeah, I have some friends that are self-identified communists, and I would trust them more than a lot of people in this world. So
no, right?
The identities don't bother me. It's your actions that are speaking louder than words for me.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get this up, and this is just great. And again, I think the starting reference point is what the picture I showed that the three country leaders got together, and
they're the big three.
Yeah. And the thing is, we used to, but like I said, that's why I started with the other stuff. We're in decline, folks. I don't like that we're in decline, but we are screwing up. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the big three realized that nuclear deterrence would make them, more challengeable and more formidable.
Here you go. Yep. Okay. I really struggle with this. Okay, here we go.
Significant, Jackson, isn't it? And really, as you said, we're seeing the coming back together of an anti-imperialist camp that was split after the death of Stalin. So at the point when Stalin and Mao were in charge of People's Soviet Union and People's China, we had a socialist and anti-imperialist camp with a unified leadership that really sang from the same hymn sheet, if you like. They were in lockstep with one another, and the future for humanity looked incredibly bright. It looked like we could only go forward from there. Unfortunately, with the death of Stalin, and basically what you had a coup in the party in the Soviet Union, a revisionist came to power, who essentially put the Soviet Union on the road back towards capitalist restoration. And one of the first things that they did, that the Khrushchevites did, was to break links of cooperation with People's China. They had been helping the Chinese to industrialize. They had been helping them to develop their planned economy and their modern agricultural basis. All of those specialists who were there helping with that were withdrawn unilaterally by Khrushchev. And that was a big blow to China and to the socialist camp. That was the beginning of what was known as the Sino-Soviet split. The repercussions of revisionism in the USSR and the split between socialist China and the socialist Eastern European camp have been catastrophic for our movement. But we're finally coming to a point now, I think, where all anti-imperialist countries are recognizing their need to stand together, no matter what their guiding ideology is. So Russia, as you say, is not the Soviet Union. President Putin is not a communist. He doesn't want to be, but he is forced by life to be a strong anti-imperialist. And the stronger his understanding of the irreconcilable hostility of the imperialist camp to Russia as a strong sovereign nation, They don't. It turns out it wasn't just that they were communists that the West hated. It was that they were sovereign. It was that they did what they decided was best with their resources, with their manpower, with their wealth. This is what the West can't forgive, right? So even though the Soviet Union is gone and Russia has become capitalist, and Russia tried very hard to be a partner in the international scene with the West, they found out that the imperialists are, what did Lavrov say? Agreement incapable. And that means, of course, that you can't trust a word they say. They will never treat you as equals. They will never respect you. They will never recognize your rights to be sovereign. They demand total subjection. They demand the right to loot your resources. And the only government they will recognize is one which facilitates that. They only recognize comprador governments around the world. They don't recognize sovereign and equal heads of state in the way that I think a lot of Soviet people and Russians later assumed that they would do. They took the words of the imperialists at face value and didn't understand what Lenin taught us so long ago, that the system of imperialism has its own logic and it can't be trusted. So now we're seeing, really since the SMO, really the launch of the special military operation in Ukraine, we're seeing this deepening sense of an anti-imperialist reality in Russia, and a bringing back of the understanding of the importance of alliances across the world on that basis, and the deepening of ties with China, with the DPRK, as you said, with Latin America, with Africa. And in all of those ties that are being revitalized, what is the legacy that is explicitly and implicitly being lent into? It's the legacy of the socialist Soviet Union. It's the legacy of a time when the Soviet Union was a country that treated other countries with respect, that had relationships of fraternal solidarity, where countries understood that in the battle against imperialism, they must stand together, they must work together, they must support one another economically and militarily in order to survive and thrive. And that's what we're seeing. And it's a really fantastic turn of events, actually. It offers a lot of promise for the peoples of the world.
So I love Joti Brar. I just love her explanations. Or, and I'm sure that people, would argue, oh yeah, well, the Soviet Union wasn't all that great, but I get her. I certainly agree with her point of they know that they need to come together because the U.S. is a nightmare to them and is a constant threat. And like Jeffrey said, why do we hate China? Because they're successful.
When I was listening to her, I thought of something and I said, well, that sounds like rice. And hear me out now.
Okay.
America sounds like rice. Racist, imperialist,
okay.
Capitalist,
yeah,
empire.
Oh, nice. I've never...
they just came to my head and I was like, that is America, is rice. I know there are plenty more things that we could say, but rice just came to my head at that point in time. And I was just like, yeah, that's America for you.
That is perfect because it is that combination, right? And you could also just have two C's, capitalist, colonialist, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But yes, absolutely. And that I think is why getting a noise at all. I'm having trouble. Something has happened. You go ahead and talk to Leah. Okay, something's wrong with my sound. I'm going to see if I can hear you out of here. uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising.